Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, we're talking about the patron of the Archfey Warlock. This is going to be rounding out our Feywild subclass kind of character concepts. So if you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, keep commenting. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear your builds, your stories of some great things you've done with your DMs or games you've DM'd yourselves, and just anything that really lets us know what's going on. We love to hear it. We love to get messages from you guys. Thank you so much for interacting with us. Again, couldn't be happier. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into the video. So, when you make your pact with the Archfey, you are really in a bad scenario. First and foremost, you might not know this happened at all because it's Fey, you don't know what happened. You could have just accidentally said, yeah, sure, I'll help you out, and then boom, your soul is now in servitude forever. Fey are tricky. Definitely work out some ideas as to what your pact might actually be, which is a fun thing to build with your DM, character-wise, lore-wise. Really incorporate yourself and ingrain your character into the world. But you gain access to some spells, kind of like domain spells, but you don't automatically gain them. They're just available to you on your spell list. A couple of things here I just happen to like. Phantasmal Force, I love it. It's a 10-foot cube. Always imprison whoever you are with it. Make the ground open up and like lizards and like evil robot sharks with lasers shoot out or whatever. So that way they're trapped in that area and they constantly take damage, because it's a great way to isolate them, scare them, and make them basically suffer until it's time to actually murder them. Fun, exciting, great, and the more creative you are, the scarier you are to your current players. Blink, I think, is awesome. It's not concentration. It dips you in and out of combat, which is great and makes you pretty safe. It is a great defensive tool. It is an awesome ability. I really think more people should be using it. But a lot of people don't like defensive spells because they want to use their spells for that big scary moment. Also, you get Dominate Beast and Dominate Person. There's just nothing greater than being a Fey and forcing some high-ranking whatever to do whatever you want. It's just this great, like, just dip of, like, humility for them, and you make them suffer because why not make a king lick your boots for no other reason than you just made them do it. Enjoy that kind of mentality, because that's what Fey are, and that's what they do. They do whatever they want, and they enjoy this whimsicalness to it. And if someone disagrees, they force them to see things their way. And that is very exciting, and definitely something you want to incorporate. Your first ability as an Archfey Patron Warlock, you gain Fey Presence. At first level, your patron bestows upon you the ability to project the beguiling and fearsome presence of the Fey. As an action, you can cause each creature in a 10-foot cube originating from you to make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC. The creature that fails their saving throw are charmed or frightened by you, your choice, until the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. This is a very interesting ability. The ability to charm people or frighten them is awesome. This gets better the further down you get with abilities, and depending on what party you have. If you have a Conquest Paladin, ooh, you're gonna have friends, because this is a great way to cause them to be paralyzed in that Conquest Paladin aura. This is a cool ability. Understand, it is a 10-foot cube originating from you, so it is a big area that you can hit. Do not use this in melee and then walk around. Even if they are frightened, they can still hit you. The interesting thing is that they are charmed or frightened until the end of your next turn. It might not seem like much, but the amount of things you can capture in this area will either not be able to attack for a round if they fail to save, or attack with disadvantage if they feared or charmed. Like you get a lot of things that diminish the effectiveness of the enemy. if you're fighting a lot of things, and like usually earlier on you kind of tend to do that a lot, like maybe fight a lot of goblins or something, get as close as you can without getting into melee range. Pop this, back out. If they're feared, they can't chase you. If they're charmed, they can't attack you. So it's really iffy who's going to fail or make the save, but using this ability, you're changing the tide of battle. Things are being different because now the enemy's restricted in their actions that they can take, or they have disadvantage, or they just flat out cannot attack you. Again, they're charmed by you till the end of your next turn. So if you go out there, bang, Fey Presence, charm, hey, that guy's trying to kill me, they're already likely to fight anyway for one turn. If you can get a couple of these, them to turn away and start slashing, it can work. It's a risk, but it's this great moment. I wish it lasted a little longer. I wish you could use it more so in RP situations and social interactions, because how incredible is that? You know, you do something and then bang, Fey Presence, like this is like it just and like fireworks, and just like you glisten in the sun or whatever, like, and that changes everything, and now everyone's charmed by you. It's cool. It's very, very cool. It's just like the Glamour Bard's ability. I think it's like Mantle of Performance or something like that. The name escapes me. Forgive me. But it gives you this ability, so it's really combat oriented. Use it. If you see people that are grouped together, use it. It's one of those things that if you never use it, it's a complete waste, and it's just going to be a hated ability, and it really shouldn't be like that. Really get into it. You'll like it. If it hits once or twice, it is awesome. There is just a once per short less ability to restriction on it, and as a warlock, everything comes back on a short rest, so use it. You know, sometimes attacking is great. Yeah, awesome. I get it. But sometimes disabling a whole group of people is even better for the rest of your party, because your tanks can only suck up so much. At 6th level, you gain access to Misty Escape. You can vanish in a puff of mist in response to harm. When you take damage, you can use a reaction to turn invisible and teleport 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn, or until you attack or cast the spell. Once you use this ability, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. This is a great ability. This is a defensive ability. This is what's going to save you from when you're getting caught by the big monster that can attack 2-3 times, and it hits you on the first one. Bang. Pop Misty Escape and avoid the other two. You're invisible. You have some real interesting things to do, and 60 feet is a very big difference, which means on the next turn you can move away an additional 90 feet. If you took Eldritch Blast, this is a very big area for someone to come towards you. Distance, elusivity. This is a lot like Swarming Dispersal for the Swarm Keeper, where like you would just fold into the swarm and then just get teleported away. That's kind of where this it kind of originated from this, though you don't get the resistance that Swarming Dispersal gives you. This is great. This is really falling into that Fey mentality of just like being illusionary, being hidden and manipulative and trickster like. It's very cool. It's a very strong ability, and you get to use it per short rest. It's like a spell that you get for free. It's awesome. You are definitely going to be using this constantly. So don't ever think, just you're going to use it. Try and use it as best as you possible. Try and make sure to gauge who's hitting you and with what, and whether it's benefit enough to do it. You can use it to teleport onto a higher ledge. Say there's like you're in a castle or something, and you're on the bottom floor, and there's balconies there, and you get hit with something, and whatever it is medium size, and it's 60 feet to the balcony. Get to the balcony. You're almost impervious at that point, to the enemy, and it's a great way to think outside of the box. It's a great tactical maneuver. you can't really be too upset, and you really have a lot of things available to you because of this. At 10th level, you gain access to Beguiling Defense. Your patron teaches you how to turn the mind-affecting magic of your enemies against them. You are immune to being charmed, and when other creatures attempt to charm you, you can use your reaction to turn the charm back on that creature. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your warlock spell save DC, or be charmed by you for a minute, or until the creature takes any damage. This is something that you need to discuss with your DM when you get it. I suggest all your abilities you discuss with the DM, but nonetheless, this is important. This is where meta knowledge affects the game. Unless the NPCs that or the creatures you're fighting happen to know specifically your patron is Fey and you have these abilities, there's no reason to completely avoid effects that charm you. There just isn't. If you get this ability and you were fighting things that charmed you before, and all of a sudden now charms just don't even go near your character, that's hurtful. That's meta knowledge that sucks. And as DMs, you know what? Throw it out there from now and again. You know, like they have these abilities. You don't have to tailor every counter, but it's a great thing when your players get to use abilities that they don't normally get. And charm it's so much harder to use charm as a player, and so much deadlier to use charm as a DM. Like, everyone thinks, oh, Berserker, Rage, charm the Berserker. Totally different game. It's devastating for a player to get hit with charm. It is devastating for them to get hit with charm and then a fight to break out and them not be able to help their friends. Like, it's really what it feels like to be charmed as a person. Like, if charm existed in a real life, like a spell, that's what it would be. You would just be sitting there, like, in your head, knowing everything you're doing is wrong, but not being able to stop it because you can't, because for whatever reason, this creature was able to cast charm on you and it worked. It's so deadly of an ability. It really, really is. I mean, could you imagine you're standing next to a wizard, you're a monk, and then like this fey rat person crawls out and just charms the monk, and now the wizard goes to cast a spell, but the monk can't let the rat person get hurt because he's charmed, and that's someone he cares about. So he doesn't hurt the wizard, but he keeps his mouth shut so that he can't say any of the words, and now he can't cast spells. You could kill that party with a bunch of squirrels. You know what I mean? Like, it's devastating when you do things like that. So I really encourage DMs to use charm. It really is something you guys should really, really lean into. And having this ability, it's fun to use it. You got to use it once or twice. It's cool. Just throw, abilities like this a cookie as a DM, and players just make sure to remember you have it, because it can be great and it can feel really good. Just to flip it out and then just watch as the monster that just tried to charm you now does whatever you want it to. Like it'll just reasonably agree and not take excessive risks, because charm is not dominate, but it's close, and it's, oh yeah, no, sure, we'll just leave and not take anything we came from. We can do it tomorrow. That's no problem. We don't want to interfere with what you're doing. Bang, and then like the bad guys leave and you get to steal all the loot they were stealing, or whatever it is you're trying to do. Use it. It's one of those things, if you never use it, you never see how great it is. At 14th level, you gain access to an ability that I have just loved since its creation. Dark Delirium. The name alone really just makes me drool a little. You can plunge a creature into an illusionary realm. As an action, choose a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you. It must make a wisdom saving throw against your warlock spell save DC. On a failed save, it is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for 1 minute or until your concentration is broken as if you are concentrating on a spell. The effect ends early if the creature takes any damage. Until this illusion ends, the creature thinks it's lost in a misty realm, the appearance of which you choose. The creature can see and hear only itself, you, and the illusion. You must finish a short or long rest before you use this feature again. This is just awesome. I love the flavor behind it. I love the fact that you can create the illusion. I love the fact that it's just you and the creature, and nothing else you can see or hear. And that's your choice. It's wonderful. You take this thing out for a minute. Just gone. It's terrifying. You're put in an illusionary world. You're like in a Freddy Krueger nightmare. You get to create whatever it is. This has social interactions. Like, it can work as a social interaction. You can try and get somebody or someone important to have to do something they don't want to do. And you're the guy that got to do it. Why not throw them into a world of nightmare and make them frightened? Get them to do it. Terrify them. You can really scare someone into horrific moments, including the rest of the people sitting at the table and your DM. But this is yours. It's your world. There's so many implications to what it can do. It is in an imaginary world of your creation. It is charmed or it is frightened by you. This is what the Feywild is. If you make it happy and a party, then you're in the good part of the Feywild. If it's a horrible forest where you're being chased by hideous beasts and all you hear is the gnashing and ripping of cartilage and all their loved ones screaming in pain, begging for you to turn back and help them, well, then you're in a dark part of the Feywild. And that's yours to control. I love the ability. It's on paper, it is a save or suck that disables an enemy for a minute. And depending on how your DM runs, as if you're concentrating on your spell, depicts on what else you can do. I've played in games where DMs were very lenient, and it was something that if you got hit, you just had to make your spell save, your concentration save. But you were still able to concentrate on another spell as long as it was below 5th level or below. So that was very cool, and you could do a lot of stuff with it. But it depends on how your DM runs, as if you're concentrating on a spell. I get not being able to concentrate on other spells. You are a warlock, so you have a plethora of other spells that can be very, very dangerous. Work it out. But this is free. This is once a day. This is just plummet someone into a nightmare and worry about everything else. This is beautiful. When you talk to your patron, this is what they're using. When you go anywhere and when you talk to a deity and it's just you and them, this is what that's like. It's beautiful. It doesn't do damage. It's not flashy. It's not hurl through hell. It is beautiful because you can create this perfect world. And depending on who your character was, this would reflect that. Like if you're a character who's a traveling carnival worker or clown or something, and you went through the Fey, and then the Fey destroyed your carnival, and you've just been living in the shambling parts of it that the forest grew around, and you've just been broken down tents and just rides and attractions that have dilapidated, and you've lived there your whole previous 20-something years, and you're just cracked out of your mind, and then adventurers come by and you join them, and then you get the opportunity to cast a spell, and then boom, you're at the circus, and it's perfect, and you get to show what it was like, and then you get to have the person that you're there with watch it crumble into the nightmare it became for you, and just switch all the people that got hurt to their loved ones and the people they cared the most about. And that is just a nightmare. and it's fun, and you're doing that, and you're still fighting in combat. Like, it's, I could go for days talking about how cool I think this ability is. Our final thoughts. The patron of the Archfey Warlock is so cool in concept. I think a lot of people look at this and they got immediately turned off because as a warlock you can do more flashier damage dealing stuff with some of the other classes. You know, the Fiend, the Great Old One, and the Archfey were the first ones to come out in the player's handbook when they released the game. And when you look at those three options, the Fiend is a monster in combat. The Great Old One is just a manipulative, evil, kind of like... it really works well with this eldritch horror, kind of cosmic horror kind of a feel to it. Like, you're just like dealing with Cthulhu, and it really works and leans into that because it's cerebral, it's telepathic, it's manipulative, you know, and that's great. And the Archfey really encompasses the other world that you know, that really exists in fantasy, but it gets overshadowed by the other two, and really by the Fiend, and then by the Hexblade, and then by the Fathomless, and by the Genie, and by the Undead. But it is very cool. You can do a lot with this. You can make your patron the Prince of Fools, and then use his rapier and really lean into that, or really be an Eldritch Blast kind of a character, and just dance and giggle the whole time. Like, you get this wonderful setup for forest nightmare with the Archfey, and you can swing it either way, and you can really be very mirthful and, you know, joyful and do all these cool things and be very tricky and very Loki-esque, and you get Dark Delirium. Yeah, it's a long way to get the Dark Delirium, and Charm is kind of a hard thing to sell on people. I get it, but when it works, when you try it and you actually use these abilities, they're significantly better than most people give them credit for. Yeah, early on, when everything dies in a hit, not hitting, it kind of seems crazy. But when things don't die in a hit and action and economy really matters, charming, disabling the opponents, really stretches things out. And these abilities save your spell slots and gives you the availability to get at least a round in where you can do some damage or cause things to change for your benefit. This is one of those things that also works really well in party composition. If you're dealing with Conquest Paladins, with things that like Fear, Whisper Bards, and Great Old Ones, or Fey Wanderers, or anything that is going to incorporate fear and disablings and charms, like, you really lean into that, and you really bolster those things by being a great support. You can be as creative as you want with warlocks, which is really what makes them so incredible and like, in my opinion, the best class in the game. And I think the Archfey falls in this wonderful world where you can do anything. You're so perfectly sit to manipulate, and it's beautiful. So can't say enough about how much joy I see when I read Dark Delirium. But that being said, it's time to bring this video to a close, and I want to thank you all for sitting through. If you watched this long, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.